If you are a Nationals trade deadline guy this year, I can promise you this, you had a very, very good weekend.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, you can check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals there, and wherever you get your podcasts, over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, we will be right then and there. Again, all you have to do is search Locked On Nationals there, and that is where you'll find us on your audio website, wherever it is. Again, Google Play, Apple, whatever. We got you covered there. So later on in today's show, we'll be discussing Andres Chaparro, one of the Nationals guys they got back at this year's trade deadline. They traded Dylan Floro to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Nationals got Andres Chaparro. So we'll discuss what to expect with him, as this guy has put up huge numbers down at AAA Rochester, and as well dating back to his days with the Diamondbacks. So we'll get to what to expect with him a little bit later on in today's show. It's a Monday, so you know what that means. It is a Nats stock report Monday. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down. But we're going to discuss, first and foremost, whatever you want to say to start this Monday. If you were traded to the Washington Nationals at this year's trade deadline, you had yourself a good weekend. Every single one of them. Yes, I mean it. And Mike Rizzo, take a bow. Simple as that. But before we get into it, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at SupplyHouse. And SupplyHouse.com is a reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. Now, if you're over on YouTube, I do want to kind of state the obvious here. And again, if you're listening on audio, you might want to check out the YouTube real quick. You might be looking at me. I'm trying to keep a straight face here. I have one of the most ridiculous sunburns you will ever see. I look terrible. Awful. It looks like I've been beaten up. If I turn to the side, you'll see all the different variations of this sunburn. Some parts are a lot worse, like under my eyes. If I even close my eyelids like I am right now, you will see my eyelids are even sunburned. It is a really bad one, so don't get sunburned. Put sunscreen on. How about that? That's where we'll start off. But let's get into some baseball here. As, again, if you were traded to the Washington Nationals, you had yourself a very, very good weekend. Let's start off at the big league level. Jose Tena. First and foremost, talking about Jose Tena, he was one of those guys where a lot of Guardians fans, when they traded him away, a lot of people were disappointed. And it was one of those things where he is kind of just in a logjam for that organization. He was kind of the forgotten prospect. He lost his prospect status, so I don't really know where he would rank as far as Nationals prospects go, but I would say he would be easily in the top 10 as far as this group right now. And the Nationals, they have a top 5 farm system in all of baseball. So being a top 10 prospect in a system like this one in here in DC, you're a pretty good prospect. So Jose Tena on Saturday night, first game-tying hit in the 7th inning, roped one in the left field, and then we all talked about this on Saturday night into Sunday morning into yesterday's game, which, by the way, should never be on Roku TV ever again. Never should be an 11:35 a.m. start. I don't care what it is. It should never be the case. Jose Tena hit that walk-off in the 10th inning, which just almost got out, by the way. And what should be a double, but at this point, they haven't changed it to a double, but it should have been. Regardless, Jose Tena, I think you're starting to see why the Nationals really kind of traded for this guy, why this guy did not get left out of this deal. He could be kind of a game-changing guy, in my opinion. Now, I don't know where he will kind of fare out with the Nationals because he's a middle infield kind of guy. He plays shortstop. He can play second, and he can also play third base. Now, the middle infield, in my opinion, is pretty tied up with Luis Garcia over at second and C.J. Abrams, your franchise shortstop, who's just an all-star. The problem is here, where is he going to play when all three of those guys are going to be healthy? If it was up to me, you put him over at third base and don't look back. The Nationals optioned Trey Lipscomb over the weekend after telling him, and then after telling the fans as well, this guy was going to be your third baseman for the duration of the season. That's not going to be the case anymore. Tena should be your guy moving forward. This guy can get it done at the plate. He did this down in the minors as well. Plays really solid defensively. Now, will it be an easy transition over to third for him? Maybe. But we'll just have to see what happens there. But he was at the forefront of what the Nationals did this last weekend. If you were traded here, you had yourself a very, very good weekend. Now let's go down into the minor league level. Tyler Stuart, the 6th round pick in 2022 at the University of Southern Miss, traded for Jesse Winker from the New York Mets. On Saturday, he went 5 2/3, 5 hits given up, 0 earned runs, which, by the way, back-to-back starts with 0 earned runs. And he had 13 strikeouts to 0 walks in Saturday's start for the Harrisburg Senators. Tyler Stuart is starting to really kind of compound himself to be a very good prospect, in my opinion. His first 3 starts with Harrisburg, catch this, 16 2/3 innings pitched, 13 hits, 3 earned runs, 27 strikeouts to 4 walks so far in his 3 in his 3 walks, or 4 walks in Harrisburg, again, through his first 3 starts of his AA career. And Tyler Stuart is really starting to make a name for himself, in my opinion, in this system. Now, he is ranked as like a middle tier prospect at this point in time, but the season that he is now putting together, it kind of reminds me of what DJ Hurst was doing after last year's trade deadline. That's the kind of impact that I think Tyler Stuart could have within the next year or so. And it is entirely possible, by the way, that we see this guy up in the bigs maybe by September, if the Nationals do decide to fly him up, which would not surprise me whatsoever, by the way. The way that he has been pitching certainly earns a spot in AAA Rochester. Now, I feel like they'll probably give him another start or 2 in AA, and if he does well, then you could easily see him thrown up in the AAA, which then you would probably be sitting in a pretty good situation right now. Tyler Stuart is one of those guys where he's got the stuff. He's 6'9". He's kind of Mike Rizzo's lab character, as I would describe him as, your lab rat, whichever one you want to say. As one of those guys where he fits that profile where Rizzo really loves guys like this. Mid to upper 90s fastball. He's got good stuff. Low walk rate, which at this point is pretty damn good, considering he's only walked 4 guys over his first 3 starts with Harrisburg compared to 27 strikeouts. And half of those coming against the AA on Saturday, 13 of them through 5 innings pitched. He's starting to make a name for himself in this system. And speaking of names, maybe one of the bigger ones the Nationals got at this year's deadline, after having a very tough first start against his former team in Lynchburg, bounces back the FredNats on Saturday. Alex Clemmey, the left-handed pitcher, just turned 19 years old, 2023 second-round pick out of high school. On Saturday, 4 innings pitched, only 1 hit, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts to 2 walks. Now, he's kind of ramping up, 19 years old. You don't really want to wear him down all too much, but he had a really tough first start again the weekend prior. And since then, in that one start on Saturday, a very impressive outing from the 19-year-old. So, the Nationals, again, if you were traded to us this deadline, you had yourselves a very, very good weekend. And it doesn't just end there, by the way. Andres Chaparro, someone who's getting called up to the bigs after yesterday's loss against the Angels, which, by the way, you should have gone for the sweep, but whatever. I'll take 2 out of 3. Andres Chaparro is now called up to the bigs, and he also had himself a very good weekend, as this is someone who has homered in 4 games so far with the Rochester Red Wings. So we'll discuss that call-up a little bit later on and what to expect with him. But this guy's got big-time power, 23 home runs on the season already. So, again, if you were traded to the Washington Nationals, you had yourselves a very good weekend. Mike Rizzo, take a bow. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And now it's time for a Nat Stock Report, where you get your latest individual performances for your Washington Nationals. Stock up or a stock down. We'll discuss that after we tell you guys about our friends over at SupplyHouse. And guys, get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is a reliable way to order plumbing, h-vac, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. And now we get into a Nat Stock Report, where it is your latest performances on the Washington Nationals. And the big league level on Fridays, you get a Nats Prospect Stock Report. But on Mondays, you get the big league stock report. A full week is in the books. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down? Well, we start up with a stock up for center fielder Jacob Young. Jacob Young doesn't really get the praise that he deserves. And a little bit is that it's on me. I'm an offensive guy. I want to see you hit home runs. I want to see you steal bases, which he does. But Jacob Young does not get the praise that he deserves. Over his last 7 games, which, by the way, a home run in over the weekend, Jacob Young is not a power guy. It's his second home run up in the big so far this season. That's really about all he'll have. But over his last 7 games, this guy is batting .261, a .320 OBP, a .478 slug. He's got that home run. He plays awesome defense in center field, covers so much ground. And at this point in time, he is one of the highest rated guys on this team, if you account WAR. Jacob Young has been so valuable defensively out in center field, in which we always talked about Victor Robles being very good defensively. Jacob Young has kind of put that away. Victor Robles covered a ton of ground out there. Jacob Young covers more ground. We don't talk about him enough. I don't think he's going to be the center fielder of the future. I don't think he has that capability. But what he does have is value as a 4th outfielder. And it's very good value, by the way. Someone who can steal bases. So he can come up and put the ball in play. Lay down a bunt. Do all the little small ball things that we may forget about in today's analytical era. Jacob Young is invaluable to this team. You need a Jacob Young. And luckily for the Nationals, they've got a Jacob Young. Stock up for him. He deserves it. So, stock up. Now we get to a stock down for one of the Nationals' aces, Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore is broken. He had a career-high 6 walks yesterday against the Angels. And over his last 5 starts, he's got a 6.75 ERA. He's only got 14 strikeouts. He's got 15 walks and 16 earned runs. He has more earned runs than he has strikeouts. I've seen people throw around the idea of Mackenzie Gore getting sent down to AAA for a little bit. I'm here to tell you right now, that's not a bad idea at all. At all. I don't know what the fix is with him, but I can tell you what this is at this point. Whatever is going on right now is not normal. You saw his velocity dip down yesterday. He's walking way too many guys. You saw that people are fouling out. I believe Spencer Newsbaum had this nugget from the Washington Post that he is the second highest rated starting pitcher in baseball with guys hitting foul balls. So he's not generating swing and misses really that much anymore. He's not striking people out. Mackenzie Gore at this point is broken. I don't know what the fix is, but at this point in time, I would not be upset with the idea of him getting sent down in AAA and having the Nationals call up Brad Lord and see what he can do. Because he also had a pretty damn good weekend as well in Rochester this Saturday. I don't know what the fix is. But at this point, it would not upset me at all to send him back down to AAA. He is broken at this point. He means a lot to this organization. This is one of your prized jewels of the Nationals prospects go over the last few seasons. You need Mackenzie Gore to be right. And at this point, he's not right. So I would not be surprised if the Nationals do decide to send him back down if this next start does not go as planned. So we'll see what the Nationals do, but he needs some time off. He needs to get his act together and hopefully string together a few good starts in AAA or up in the majors, and he gets right to end the season because he started off so damn well. But over his last 13, 15 starts, it has not been pretty at all for Mackenzie Gore. Stock up for Luis Garcia Jr. If you look at his stats from the last month, this guy has turned his season around, and really he hasn't been bad by any means of the imagination over the first half of the season, but the second half of the season, he has been incredible. Over his last 15 games, he's batting .393, a .452 OBP, a .607 slug, and a .1059 OPS. He's got 3 home runs, 13 RBIs, 10 strikeouts, and 6 walks. And I'm an analytical guy, but one of the things I think people kind of sleep on as far as just judging baseball players is putting the ball in play. At this point, even with Keibert Ruiz and Luis Garcia, they're both kind of in the same category, in my opinion, as far as this goes. They put the ball in play. They do not strike out. That is of value to a team. Now, you would like to see him be a little bit more selective, and Garcia has been, especially over the last month or two. But putting the ball in play just means so much more, even if it's just a single. Putting the ball in play is a good thing overall. Luis Garcia has been doing beyond that at this point. He's hitting for power. He's coming up big in huge clutch situations. He's playing really good defense over at second base. Luis Garcia breaking out was not really on my bingo card in 2024. In fact, I thought he may have been pushed out at this point. But he has completely turned his story around with the Washington Nationals. He was once a top prospect for this team back in 2020. And Luis Garcia has been very good so far in 2024. And he has been the Nationals' best hitter for quite some time now, even above CJ Abrams. So Luis Garcia, he gets a stock up. But when there's a stock up, there's got to be a stock down. And that's for Travis Blankenhorn, who I believe will be optioned to AAA Rochester for Andres Chaparro. So over his 12 games up in the bigs for the Nats, pretty easy stock down. Batting .107, has 138 OBP, a 143 slug, and a 281 OPS. This is someone who is like your 4A player. That's what he is. Your 4A player. You may ask, what is a 4A player? He's too good for AAA, but just not good enough for the majors. And that's unfortunate because this guy kills the baseball down in AAA. He led the Nationals minor system with home runs so far this season. He killed it with Rochester. He was in the middle of that lineup. You look at him, you're like, damn, like, how is this not going to work up in the majors? But as you see, he's just one of those guys who will never really pan out, unfortunately, up at the big league level. But that's just kind of what you expect with someone of his caliber. Someone who has a lot of power, who is or was a top prospect who just lost his prospect status yesterday, James Wood. He gets a stock up. Over his last 10 games, he has come together. He's batting .314, a .415 OBP, a .629 slug, and a .1043 OPS. He's got 2 home runs. He's got 9 RBIs, 11 strikeouts, 6 walks. He's got a double. He's got multiple triples. He's even got a couple stolen bases in there as well. The 6'7" freak of nature, the #1 prospect in all of baseball heading into yesterday's game, according to Baseball America, he is starting to click at the right time because, again, we talked about this. My expectations were pretty low for James Wood. I thought he would be good, but I did not think he was going to be this good this early. The overall numbers for him may not be crazy good, but you're starting to see things click for him. Now, where he might fall into a stock down category is the way that he plays left field. But I'm not worried about him in left field because he's not a left fielder. That's just where the Nationals have him at this point in time. And I'm not going to lie, move him, please, to center or right. That is where he will be playing for the duration of his career. I don't see him as a left fielder. It has not clicked for him. I don't think it will click for him. He looks more comfortable in center and in right when you're seeing him make web gem plays. And he has a pretty decent arm as well that we can all see on display at times. But James Wood at the plate, there is no worry for this kid whatsoever. You have to actually go into this game thinking that he has broken out. The dream scenario of James Wood being all the hype surrounding him and kind of living up to that hype has come into fruition here with the Washington Nationals. So it's a stock up for James Wood as he continues to just rake at the major league level. So thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And now I'm going to tell you guys about the new National, Andres Chaparro. As we all know, with the Nationals, if you're traded here, you had yourself a good weekend, and that includes Andres Chaparro. So we'll discuss that after we tell you guys about our friends over at Ibotta. And guys, sandals, sunscreen, snacks for the kids. What do these all have in common? You're probably buying a ton again this summer, but don't stress about the cost. Use Ibotta and get cash back on all the purchases when you stock up on all your summer essentials. And of course, you might be asking, well, what is Ibotta? Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. Earn hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies and even toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. And the average Ibotta user earns $256 per year that can cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, that flight that you've been eyeing, or the fancy dinner that you have been craving. And you can save on over 2,400 brands and shop at over 1,000 retailers, including your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, and much, much more. And all you have to do is right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Now, I'm going to tell you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. And guys, you know that I love sports. I'm going to assume that you love sports as well. All you have to do is go to our friends at FanDuel and make sports even more fun for you. And I never want sports to stop, but as the playoffs are done, summer is heating up, and also that means football season. We have fewer games, but of course, again, baseball season, football season, it is here. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime with our friends at FanDuel. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer as summer winds down. Again, head over to FanDuel.com, make the most out of your summer. Maybe tonight, with the Nationals being off, you look at tomorrow's game, Luis Garcia, anytime home run. I'm just saying, visit FanDuel. Again, just visit FanDuel.com. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. As we head into tomorrow's action, the Nationals have the night off, but there is still some news. I also do want to get into a little bit of Victor Robles a little bit later on if we have the time to, but Andres Chaparro, one of the latest Nationals to get called up to the majors. You might be asking, who is this guy? You don't really know too much about him. Well, I can tell you this. Andres Chaparro has raked at the minor league level so far this season between the Diamondbacks and as well as the Nats AAA affiliate. He's got 23 home runs, 85 RBIs. He's batting .328, a .405 OBP, a .572 slug, and a .977 OPS. This is someone who enters the Nationals as one of those intriguing guys. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Joey Meneses. Now, I think Chaparro will be better than Joey Meneses, you might imagine. But he could have one of those impacts where we're kind of talking about him going into next year as being a breakout kind of guy for the Nationals. His numbers across the last 2 seasons have been insane. Last year in 2022, across multiple different levels with the Arizona Diamondbacks, he batted, now, again, last year you might be considering, well, what does really he have in common here? He hits the baseball. Simple as that. He batted .247, a .331 OBP, and a .444 slug with a .775 OPS. In 2022, he batted .296, a .962 OPS. But the common denominator there is last year, 25 home runs, 89 RBIs. The year prior to that, in 2022, 20 home runs and 55 RBIs. What does he bring to the table? Power with more power. Home run power. Now, is this going to be one of those situations where we're talking about him and having this huge, major impact with this team? I don't necessarily know. But I do think he could kind of have that breakout performance. Now, there is a downside, though. We just talked about someone who is a stock down, who is a 4A kind of player. It is a little weird with someone that would put up these kind of numbers at the AAA level, doesn't get their shot up in the majors. There has to be something there, right? We don't know at this point in time. I don't know why the Diamondbacks did not make that call a lot earlier than what they have done over the course of their kind of claim to fame here recently. We're getting a lot better. The second half, Diamondbacks been a lot better this season. And they do kind of have a loaded roster at this point, coming off an NL pennant. But it is a little strange to me why they never called him up. And again, they moved off him pretty easily last second of the deadline. They gave him up for Dylan Floro, who is a good reliever, but they seem pretty willingly to just hand him over to us. Someone who puts up numbers like this, and it was not in their top 30 prospects, I don't know what to expect. I just don't. Is he going to be like Travis Blankenhorn? Maybe. But also, on the other hand, I can't believe that. I just can't. If you're hitting 25 home runs last year, 23 home runs so far this year, driving guys in, you're striking out at a not that crazy of a clip so far this season, considering he only has 82 strikeouts compared to 49 walks. I don't know what to expect with him. But I can tell you this. Watch the guy. Maybe he's got something that we just don't know. Where will he fit in the lineup? DH maybe? I don't know at this point. But I do want to talk about Victor Robles here real quick, as 2019 world champ, turned his season around with the Seattle Mariners. Good for Victor Robles. You saw him last night, Sunday Night Baseball, being mic'd up. He went crazy viral on Twitter for discussing about how he's got pet monkeys, which I think I remember him saying that, but I honestly can't really recall Victor Robles saying that he had pet monkeys while here in DC, but apparently he does. And I thought it was really funny. Victor Robles is making a big name for himself up in Seattle as he continues to kill the baseball. He's playing really solid center field, and it started off real kind of chalky for him because he dropped the ball in nearly his first game with the Mariners. But since then, he has been very good. So shout out to Victor Robles as he continues to hit the baseball with Seattle and prove the Nationals wrong, because we DFA'd him. We forgot about him. We're all celebrating it. But Victor Robles, he still has the talent, and he's still relatively young to kind of turn his career around. So good for him. He deserves it. But of course, you guys have the night off. I've got the night off. and we'll talk about some Nats baseball on tomorrow's show. Until then, I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.